Ladies and gentlemen, we meet again toward Parashat Shmini for a short and sweet idea. The second half of this parasha talks about keeping kosher. What are the animals, fish, and birds that we're allowed to eat, that we're not allowed to eat? And that seems to be a central issue. In our Jewish life in general, keeping kosher is a central issue. What is this issue of eating the right foods? So I think in today's day and age, we understand that certain foods and certain things we put into our digestive system can make us well, and some things will make us ill. We understand that. They'll make us ill physically. In fact, there are certain medications, certain drugs that can actually influence our mind and cause hallucinations and really influence it. That means what we intake, what we decide to put into our body influences who we are. You are what you eat. And that's an amazing idea, which we already understand from this week's Parashat Shmini. But what is it really telling us at the end of the day? Okay, at the end, after I've eaten the right foods and I've refrained from the wrong foods, what's going to happen to me? So the Psukim say at the end, Al teshakzu at nafshotichem b'chol asher etz hashoretz, ve'lo titamu b'hem v'nitmeitem ba. If we eat the wrong foods, we become tamei. Tamei here is with other aleph, and the Talmud in Yoma explains that tamei with that aleph is like tumtum, which means it's closed up. Everything is closed up. Okay, what are we talking about closed up? Let's look at the opposite. The opposite of tamei is tahor. Tahor, tet and tzadi sometimes are interchangeable. It's like tohar is like tzohar. Tzohar is a window, is light. So when you're tahor, you are exposed to spiritual light. And when you are tamei, you've closed the window, you're closed up. You do not get spiritual light. And therefore, there are certain foods that can open our make us open to spirituality. And there's certain foods and drinks that can block us up from being spiritual people. Let me explain to what extent this is on a practical level. Many years ago, I worked on the discovery team of Esha Torah Yeshiva in the Old City that is world known for picking up young men and women who are coming to the Kotel for the first time, and they feel, wow, they feel overwhelmed. And the moment they feel overwhelmed, Rav Meir Schuster, Zichron Levacha, or one of the other people there says, oh, I see you're overwhelmed. I feel so Jewish all of a sudden. Do you want to learn a bit more about this? Sure. So they send them to the discovery program of Yeshivat Esha Torah. And there on the team, we got young men and young women who just said, I'm feeling so Jewish. What is Judaism? And we had to teach adults the basics in Judaism, but in a persuasive way. And to such an extent that sometimes it would happen that somebody would say, you know what, this is so much, I want in. I want to start doing mitzvot now. And the question is, when somebody comes as an adult who has no background in Torah and mitzvot, says, I want to start doing mitzvot now. Where do you start? You put on tefillin. What do you start with? Keeping Shabbos. Where do you start? So this was a question that was brought in front of one of the Gedolei Yisrael of the previous generation, Rav Shach Bnei Brak, and he was asked this question: what is the first thing one teaches a young adult who wants to become religious? What's the first mitzvah? What did he say? Kashrus. First of all, to keep kosher. And then people looked at him and said, keep kosher? I mean, there's so many more spiritually reviving ideas like Shabbat and like tefillin and beautiful kosher. A milky spoon was in a fleischig, in a meaty pot. That's where you start. So he smiled and he said, if you put in your car the right type of gasoline, it'll already start working much better. Which means we as Jewish people, we have a certain type of intake that we need. That is kosher intake. Once we have kosher intake, then we are open, we are tahor with sohar, we're open to spirituality. Once we intake the wrong things, we're closed up. But that is only stage one. Stage two is in the next pasuk. The next pasuk says, Ki ani Hashem Elokechem, v'hit kadishtem v'ahitem kadoshim, ki kadosh ani. What is that all about? That's all about becoming holy. Once we're open to spirituality, we can become holy. But one second. Already in Parashat Yitro, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises us and says to us, you are a holy nation. So we don't have to become a holy nation. We already are a holy nation. However, in this week's Parasha, it says, no, you have to become a holy nation. So how do these two psukim fit together? And I had a wonderful idea, which is the following. Just imagine you're eating a peach, and the peach has a pit, and there has a seed, a pit in this peach, and you look at this pit at this seed, and you actually see that this has potential to be a new peach tree. How do you do that? You have to plant it in the right place. You have to nurture it properly. You have to irrigate it properly, give it enough sunlight. It can develop into a lovely peach tree. Now that is once we have this seed. Now, in this case, we are the seed. First of all, Kodesh Baruch tells us we have that potential. We are holy people. That means we are a seed of a peach tree. But now, stage two, the hit kadishtem. Hit kadishtem is a verb which is reflexive. That means you have to do it on yourself. Like mitlabesh, you put your clothing on yourself. So hit kadishtem, you have to make yourself holy. That means we have to irrigate ourselves properly. We have to give ourselves enough sunlight. We have to give ourselves enough tahara, tohar, light, and we have to give ourselves a kosher food. By doing that, we can become holy people. We can become peach trees. What this parsha is really saying is, go get peached. Turn yourself into a peach tree. How do you do that? By keeping kosher. Shabbat Shalom.